Hey, more than 2 decades have passed since the infamous murder of rappers Tupac Shakur and Notorious B.I.G, but the crimes remain unsolved. There's a new scripted series, though, telling the story of these investigations into those murders. It airs Tuesday nights on 10 on USA Network, and we're talking right now with the star of the series, actor Josh Duhamel. And Josh, thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so the story, I know the crime we all know, but the story we don't. What do you guys mean by that?
Well, I think it is a very famous case, both Tupac and Biggie's murders and the East Coast, West Coast rivalry and all the conspiracy theories that went along with that. What I think they mean by, this is about the people, not the case as much, although it is very much about who did what. This really sort of pulls back the curtain and gives the audience an insight into who these guys really were, how much their deaths actually affected the people around them, how obsessive the detectives were that tried to bring justice to those families. And similar to the OJ, the People versus OJ, to me that was something that I thought I knew everything about until I saw that show. And it's a much more personal sort of inside, behind closed doors sort of look at these guys in these cases.
So what can folks expect to learn from the show? What will we be learning when we're watching?
Well, you'll learn who actually did it. You'll learn, there's so much talk about how there were dirty cops involved, and it had to be the cops were somehow involved, and I'm not saying that wasn't the case. I'm not sure, but what I do know is that the police departments and the detectives that were trying to actually bring justice to these families did everything that they could, and became obsessive over it, really. Russell Poole, the original investigation, ended up, even after he was off the police force, died of a massive heart attack, still investigating it, even when he wasn't being, on the clock anymore. So that's sort of what my character was about to do as well, is start to go down that same rabbit hole. And these guys really wanted to bring justice to these killers.
What's it like playing somebody, a real person who was going through this, and this is based on a true story? What is that like, portraying someone like that and getting into character for that?
Well, I just wanted to get it right. This is very much about, we wanted to tell a very real story. This is not, it wasn't as much about capturing Greg Kading as much as it was about capturing the essence of him and how dedicated he was to the case. And it's amazing the amount of obstacles they had to overcome to finally get the truth, because nobody wants to snitch, nobody wants to get anybody else in trouble, nobody wants to get killed, and that's part of the reason why it was never solved, is because A, it was super expensive to try to get to bring this to trial, and B, you don't know how much you can rely on witnesses, because they may just be covering their own behinds. And the fact is, they have confessions, they have people, they know who did it, but it's not about what you know, it's about what you can prove. And ultimately, that's why this case still goes unsolved.
Yeah, and why do the show now, do you think? Why bring this up? This has been a couple years now, decade now almost. Why bring this up again now?
Well, it's actually been 20 years since Biggie got shot. It's just over 20 years. And I think that's why. I think that it's timely in a lot of ways, because these guys were such influences on the hip-hop culture, still to this day. The 20-year anniversary of Biggie's death. And it's also very timely. And, race relations between the police and civilians, especially the black community. And what I think people might take away from this is that, sure, there are bad cops, but there are also a lot of good cops. And the guy that I play in this show really wanted to bring justice to to these families, and it's the same as Russell Poole, and so do the people around them. So I think that, you know, it's not as black or white as people want to make it out to be. It's really about how people perceive it. And I think this may change people's perception of the case.
All right, Josh, thanks so much for joining us again. I have to mention North Dakota. My fiance worked there for many years, and he talked greatly about it. So, of course, Minot.
All right.
Minot's own Josh Duhamel.
That's right.
Hey, thanks so much, Josh. We'll be watching for the Unsolved, the murders of Tupac and Notorious B.I.G. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.